Previously, after Sung Jinwoo defeated the final giant monster, a message appeared before him. You have defeated the enemy. Standing before the lifeless body, he pondered the meaning of the message. But something felt strange. Jinho rushed over, full of excitement, praising Jinwoo's strength and congratulating him for taking down the giant. Yet Jinwoo's sharp instincts told him something was off. If that had truly been the dungeon's boss, there should have been a system message declaring the dungeon cleared. His eyes narrowed. The raid wasn't over. Looking closer at the giant's body, he realized something else. There was no black smoke rising from it. Without that smoke, he couldn't extract its shadow. A chilling sensation ran through him, and he quickly signaled Jinho to step back. Just then, the corpse stirred. From the giant's mouth, Baru emerged, his massive form radiating menace. Jinwoo studied the situation carefully. Even in death, the giant's body held an immense magical presence, one that still rivaled Baru's own. Before he could dwell on it, the gate itself began to glow with blinding light. Jinwoo instantly recognized the danger. It was a violent surge of magic power, a storm strong enough to tear flesh. He turned immediately to check on Jinho. To his relief, Igris had already moved, standing like a shield in front of Jinho, protecting him from the storm. Then something strange caught Jinwoo's eye. The gate wasn't just releasing magic. It was absorbing the giant's remaining power. He touched his face and noticed a thin cut across his cheek. Just from the storm's magic pressure, his skin had been sliced open. This was unlike anything he had ever experienced. He told Jinho to stay behind. Without hesitation, he stepped toward the gate, preparing to enter and uncover the truth. With one leap, Jinwoo crossed the threshold and found himself in a massive corridor, built on a scale fit for giants. As he walked deeper, Baru appeared by his side, remarking that he could hear something nearby. Jinwoo agreed. It wasn't an ordinary sound, it was a sinister laugh. A voice then echoed throughout the chamber, mocking the rulers and declaring amusement at their struggles. At the center of the chamber, Jinwoo saw it, a massive giant, bound tightly in chains. The creature raised its head, its voice desperate, urging to be freed. It claimed to know the ruler's true plans and begged to deliver this knowledge to the other monarchs. But then its gaze sharpened. Realization dawned, and it said that Jinwoo was not the person it had expected. Jinwoo asked whether the rulers were responsible for imprisoning him. The chained giant confirmed they were, explaining that he was being used as a tool, a stepping stone for the rulers to prepare the battlefield for an inevitable war. Jinwoo studied him carefully. He had spoken with intelligent magical beasts before, but none had been able to explain their true origins. Perhaps this one could. He asked the chained monarch what he knew about the rulers. The giant replied that they were the ancient enemies of the monarchs. Jinwoo's mind raced. If the rulers were enemies of the monarchs, then by extension, were they also his enemies? He pressed further, asking if the chains binding him were proof of being a monarch. The giant nodded and revealed his true identity. The monarch of the beginning, king of giants. He warned Jinwoo that both rulers and monarchs sought him. With his current strength, Jinwoo was not yet ready to stand against either side. To survive, he would need allies and influence. Jinwoo demanded proof of his words. The monarch then began chanting in an ancient tongue. A system notification appeared before Jinwoo. The monarch of the beginning has activated the skill, Oath of Truth. Accepting the pact, Jinwoo felt the weight of the contract. Neither he nor the monarch could speak lies until the oath was annulled. Again, Li Jie asked for freedom, promising aid against Jinwoo's enemies. Jinwoo attempted to respond with false assurance, but found himself unable to. The oath bound his words. Li Jie explained this was the power of the truth-binding contract. Jinwoo could not lie now. Curious, Jinwoo asked why Li Jie could speak with such clarity, unlike the other monsters from the gates. Li Jie realized Jinwoo was referring to the creatures of chaos, the mindless beasts who poured out of dungeons. He explained that those were prisoners of the rulers, locked away for so long that their minds had decayed, leaving them nothing but beasts. He, however, was different. He was a king. He had retained his sanity, enduring countless years in chains, waiting for this very moment of release. Jinwoo then asked if the silver-winged soldiers were also part of the ruler's forces. Li Jie confirmed it, adding that the rulers were already preparing for a war against the monarchs. Jinwoo questioned why they sent endless waves of monsters into humanity's world. Li Jie revealed the truth. Their purpose was not to destroy, but to prepare. By injecting magic power into Earth, little by little, they were transforming it into a battlefield capable of withstanding the clash between rulers and monarchs. Magic stones and crystals, what humanity thought were blessings, were in fact part of this grand design. The blood and deaths of hunters and civilians alike were the very fuel transforming the planet. Jinwoo finally understood. The world was being prepared for war. When Jinwoo asked what war Li Jie meant, the monarch's answer was simple: the rematch between rulers and monarchs. And Earth would become the front line of that conflict far sooner than Jinwoo expected. The giant then warned that Jinwoo himself was a target. The power he wielded was not truly his own. By inheriting it, he had marked himself as an enemy to both sides. Yet Li Jie swore that he would stand by Jinwoo's side in the battles to come. Jinwoo, however, remained suspicious. If Li Jie truly wanted to help, wouldn't it be easier to join him as a shadow soldier? At that moment, the monarch froze. Behind Jinwoo, he saw something, a figure cloaked in darkness, the true presence of the shadow monarch. He tells Jinwoo that rulers and monarchs are bound to spiritual forms. When they die, they can't become shadows. Li Jie then asks, "Was that enough to convince you to help me?" Jinwoo draws his weapon, slowly approaching. He understands the situation, but something feels off. He senses he's missing a crucial detail. As he begins to free Li Jie, Jinwoo asks, "You said you'll stay by my side, right?" Li Jie replies, "Of course. If you help me, I will help you. This is a fair and absolute deal between monarchs." But Jinwoo, still wary, asks, "Are you on the human side?" Li Jie remains silent. Jinwoo repeats the question, "Why aren't you answering? Is it because of the oath of truth?" Then Jinwoo notices something. There's a magical crystal embedded at the back of Li Jie's neck. He realizes, as long as that stone exists, you must be hearing the ruler's commands, just like every other monster, telling you to kill humans. Li Jie lunges, but Jinwoo dodges, saying, "The deal's off." He stabs Li Jie through the chest. "You're too dangerous to let live. You could become a calamity." Li Jie, wounded, looks at Jinwoo and says, "You're wrong. The true calamity is you." He tries to attack again, but Jinwoo is faster. He strikes back, though even that isn't enough to kill the monarch of the beginning. Using his last bit of strength, Li Jie warns Jinwoo, "As the battles between the people of Earth and the residents of chaos grow more frequent, the world will become a more intense war zone. I pray that everything you hold dear turns to ash, burned by the karma of war." Jinwoo finishes him with the final blow. It won't go as you hope. A system notification appears. "You have defeated Li Jie, one of the 9 original monarchs. It adds that a great amount of experience has been earned, and it may take time to process." Jinwoo picks up a piece of metal from the ground and mutters, "Too bad I didn't get a shadow soldier. But I'll take this as a souvenir." As he stepped out of the dungeon, another message appeared before him. "You have reached level 122. The scene shifts to America, where a helicopter descends onto a private estate. Director David Brennan of the Hunter Bureau steps out, accompanied by Miss Selner, the mysterious woman gifted with foresight. They are greeted by Christopher Reed, one of the world's national-level hunters. Surprised by the unannounced visit, Christopher remarks that he hadn't expected any visitors today. Director Brennan explains that they have an urgent matter to discuss and requests complete privacy. With a nod, Christopher instructs his secretary to ensure no one approaches his office until the meeting is over. Once inside, the 3 take their seats. Christopher, still curious, asks why they have come. He makes it clear that he has no intention of joining the S-rank gate raid that recently appeared in the East. But Selner calmly assures him that their visit is not about the gate. Her expression turns grave as she delivers a chilling warning. Christopher's life may soon be in danger. The hunter freezes in disbelief. Anger quickly flashes across his face. Though he respects Selner for what she once did for him, he insists they are not close enough for such a cruel joke. He demands to know who would dare to target a man like him. Selner does not waver. She tells him that she had a dream, a vision where he was surrounded by men, his life at risk. But Christopher, growing impatient, cuts her off. He calls it nonsense, unable to believe that she traveled all this way to warn him about a dream. Tension fills the room as Christopher reminds her of the rumors about her past. Before awakening her current gift, she had once been a psychic. Some believed her strange powers came from that background, but none of it mattered to him. With a hardened expression, he declares that, as a national-level hunter, no one on Earth can kill him. Still, after a pause, his tone shifts slightly. Calmer now, he poses a hypothetical question. If he were to believe her vision, who exactly should he turn to for help? Selner's answer is clear. There may be someone capable of standing against even the greatest of threats, Sung Jinwoo. She insists that he may be the only person who can protect Christopher. The scene shifts to Japan. Emerging from the S-rank dungeon, Jinwoo reflects on the battle he had just endured. He acknowledges to himself that killing the monarch had been the right decision. Even while bound in chains, the enemy had radiated suffocating levels of mana, enough to crush those around him. Jinwoo knew that uncovering the Giant King's true intentions before he could act had spared the world from disaster. Fast forward, and news spreads rapidly across the globe. The giants in Japan have all been eliminated. Social media erupts with speculation about the identity of a possible new national-level hunter. Unlike the Jeju Island raid, which was seen mostly as a Korean triumph, this time the entire world is paying attention. Meanwhile, in China, the last surviving giant that had crossed the sea is brought down by Liu Zhigang, the nation's own national-level hunter. Back in Japan, scandal follows triumph. Matsumoto Shigeo, head of the Japanese Hunter Association, turns himself in to the authorities. His sudden confession stuns the public. Though his true motivations remain unclear, many believe he sought to take responsibility for his betrayal during the Jeju Island raid, when he endangered Korean hunters for Japan's gain. Meanwhile, in the United States, hunters who had just cleared an S-rank gate gather for a lavish, government-sponsored celebration. Members of the Scavenger Guild talk among themselves, impressed by the scale of the event and how the government spared no expense. It is then that America's strongest hunter arrives, Thomas Andre, one of the 5 national-level hunters. Towering and full of confidence, he greets his guild with a grin. In a playful mood, he teases them about a wager they had made, putting one member on the spot. The hunter nervously insists that he hadn't bet anything at all, which only amuses Thomas further. He jokes about taking the man's tie as a prize, leaning in with mock seriousness. Turning to his assistant, Laura, Thomas asks how he looks. With her usual bluntness, she remarks that although the tie is expensive, it clashes terribly with his Hawaiian shirt. Laughing at her honesty, Thomas removes the tie, agreeing with her. Once the humor fades, Laura provides an important update. She reports the list of guilds set to attend the upcoming International Guild Conference. Among them, one name catches Thomas's attention, the Jin Guild, newly created in Korea. Laura confirms that the guild belongs to none other than Sung Jinwoo. At once, Thomas's playful demeanor shifts. His interest sharpens as he realizes what this means. Soon, Sung Jinwoo will be coming to the United States. Back in Korea, Sung Jinwoo cleared the remaining dungeon breaks across the city. With the crisis finally under control, he stood before a row of giants he had turned into shadow soldiers. He observed his new forces, remarking that it was unfortunate one had managed to escape across the ocean. Still, the gains far outweighed the loss. His army had grown stronger, and the onlookers behind him couldn't hide their astonishment. Seeing their reaction, Jinho smirked, thinking it was no surprise they were shocked witnessing his abilities for the first time. He then noticed Hunter Hoshino approaching, telling him that someone was on the phone asking for him. After answering, Jinwoo was surprised to hear what the caller said. It was Yu Jinho, telling him he had to return to Korea. Jinwoo asked if something had happened. Jinho admitted he wasn't entirely sure, but said his mother had called and sounded shaken. Something had come up regarding family matters, and he couldn't ignore it. Though concerned, Jinwoo agreed and allowed him to leave. As Jinho departed, he thought back to his mother's trembling voice. He had never heard her sound that way before, and unease settled in his chest. Upon landing in Korea, Jinho was met by his father's assistant. The man informed him that a car had been prepared to take him directly to the hospital. His tone was grave as he advised Jinho to brace himself for what he was about to see. During the drive, the assistant explained the situation. By the time they arrived, Jinho's father was lying unconscious in a hospital bed, caught in what doctors called an eternal sleep. Shaken, Jinho tried to rush inside, but the assistant stopped him. He warned that a hunter, unable to fully control his mana, could worsen his father's condition simply by being near. Instead, the assistant handed him a notebook. He explained that this was something the chairman had been working on before collapsing. At first, he had kept it aside in hopes the chairman would wake up to ask for it, but now it seemed more fitting for Jinho to have it. Opening the notebook, Jinho's eyes blurred with tears. The pages were filled with clippings of newspaper articles, every single one about him and Sung Jinwoo. Jinho managed a faint smile through his tears. He realized his father still had the same old habit of collecting clippings of everything that mattered to him. The assistant added gently that the book didn't only contain articles about Jinwoo. Inside were newspaper features of Jinho's own achievements as well, his competitions, exhibitions, and even his recent ventures. His father had kept all of them. The assistant explained softly that it wasn't a lack of love. The chairman's expectations had simply been as immense as the love he felt for his son. Wiping his eyes, Jinho listened silently as the assistant suggested returning to the residence. As they began to leave, Jinho paused. He suddenly felt as though someone was nearby, watching him. Turning around, he saw nothing. The assistant asked if something was wrong. Jinho shook his head and replied it was nothing before continuing on. Unbeknownst to him, Jinwoo had been there all along, hidden under the cloak of stealth. Standing silently in the hospital room, he gazed at Jinho's unconscious father. Softly, he whispered that the scene was making him emotional. Then he produced a bottle of healing potion and carefully opened it. Outside the hospital, Yoo Jin-hee, Jinho's sister, had just arrived. As she entered the building, she briefly crossed paths with Jinwoo, who slipped past her quietly. Not recognizing him, she ignored it and continued on her way to see her father. When she entered the hospital room, she froze. To her shock, her father was sitting upright in bed, awake and looking at her. Overcome with emotion, tears streamed down her face as she rushed to his side. Before long, doctors arrived, completely stunned. They explained that the man had awakened from what had been classified as an eternal sleep, something that had never been recorded in medical history. One doctor muttered in disbelief, unable to imagine how the media would react once the news broke. Outside, Jinwoo walked calmly down the street. He murmured to himself that it was a little early, but wished Jinho a happy birthday nonetheless. After some time, he checked his shadow exchange ability, intending to return to Japan. The cooldown showed 1 hour and 54 minutes remained. With time to spare, he wondered how to pass the next 2 hours. For a brief moment, the thought of Cha Hien crossed his mind, but he quickly brushed it aside and decided instead to search for a dungeon to raid while he waited. Meanwhile, across the ocean in the United States, Christopher Reed, one of the world's national-level hunters, was asleep in his home. Suddenly, he stirred awake, his instincts warning him something was wrong. Rising to his feet, he moved through the silent halls of his residence. The stillness was unsettling. He picked up a wine glass and hurled it to the ground. The glass shattered, but not a sound followed. His expression hardened. Something unnatural was at play. He muttered to himself that the glass had broken without sound. Someone was interfering. Christopher remembered Lady Selner's warning and thought back to the business card Michael Connor had once given him, containing Chairman Gogun Hee's contact information. Michael had told him to reach out if he ever sensed anything strange. Now Christopher began to wonder if Michael had already foreseen this very moment. His thoughts were interrupted as a figure appeared before him, a mysterious man, flanked by several others lurking in the shadows. Christopher demanded to know who they were. The man answered cryptically, saying that Christopher would never be able to protect anything so long as he continued siding with humanity. He referred to Christopher as a fragment of brilliant light. Hearing them speak in the language of monsters, Christopher's fury grew. He demanded answers, but the man merely pointed upward, declaring that he was not speaking to Christopher at all. He was speaking to the being connected to him, the one above. Outraged, Christopher snarled, asking if they thought this was a joke. He activated his powers, his body glowing as he entered a state of spiritualization. The intruders were startled, amazed that a human could use such an ability. But Christopher was beyond patience. Fully transformed, he lunged forward. At least one of them, he vowed, would die by his hands tonight. And with that, the fierce battle began. Back in Japan, Jinwoo was seated in a car heading toward the airport. Outside, enormous crowds had gathered, cheering and expressing their gratitude. They had come to honor the man who had saved their country from complete annihilation at the hands of the giants. Jinwoo noticed how countless people had arrived just to catch a glimpse of him. While the exact number wasn't certain, it was estimated that more than 100,000 people had assembled. Later, once the plane took off, the focus shifted inside the cabin. Jinwoo sat quietly, reflecting on the strange odds of coincidence. He wondered about the chances of a familiar face ending up next to him on a flight, purely by chance. To his surprise, the seat beside him was occupied by none other than Agent Adam White. Jinwoo asked if this meeting was really just coincidence. Adam admitted it would be nice if Jinwoo thought so, though it was hard to believe. The agent reminded him that they had only met once before, yet Jinwoo still remembered him. Baru's voice echoed from the shadows, reminding Jinwoo not to forget the man's name this time. Jinwoo then questioned why Adam was here when negotiations had already been halted. Adam admitted it was improper to bypass official channels, but explained that he had something important to share. Jinwoo asked if the United States had failed to stop the S-rank gate. Adam reassured him that the situation had already been resolved. To explain further, he showed Jinwoo a video of a house engulfed in flames while firefighters desperately tried to extinguish it. The firefighters in the video explained that it was no ordinary fire. No matter what methods they used, they couldn't suppress it. Jinwoo asked what exactly he was being shown. Adam urged him to keep watching until the end. It was then revealed that Christopher Reed, one of the American national-level hunters, had caused the fire. A total of 1,800 firefighters and 14 elite hunters had been mobilized to extinguish the flames. Jinwoo quickly realized that if such a blaze existed, then a battle must have taken place. He asked if Christopher had been defeated. Adam confirmed the shocking truth. Christopher Reed had been killed. The agent then produced a photograph saying this was the person the Hunter Bureau believed to be the most likely suspect. Suddenly, Adam was lifted into the air by an invisible force as Jinwoo's fury surged. The hunter demanded to know if this was some kind of joke, warning that Adam wouldn't be walking out of the plane alive if it was. The other agents on board prepared to intervene, but Adam quickly stopped them. Gasping for breath, he clarified that the person in the photograph had come out of a dungeon. He might not be who they thought he was. Jinwoo ordered him to explain further. Adam said that the man's magic power was identical to that of monsters. During an interrogation, he had attacked an S-rank hunter. Adam reminded Jinwoo of the explosion at the Hunter Bureau headquarters several months earlier, the one that had shocked the world. Jinwoo asked if they thought this had something to do with his father and let Adam go. Gasping for air, Adam continued. He explained that this suspect had knocked out Bureau hunters during that incident and then vanished without a trace. Despite all efforts, it was as if the man had evaporated into thin air. Still struggling to breathe, Adam admitted he understood how difficult this was for Jinwoo, but insisted that the suspect matched every requirement to be considered responsible. Jinwoo demanded to know why he was being shown this picture. Adam then explained about the upcoming International Guild Conference in New Bern. Representatives from guilds across the world would be attending, and the Hunter Bureau planned to distribute wanted posters of this man. The investigation would no longer remain a secret. The United States had lost a national-level hunter, and the association intended to use every resource to find the culprit. Adam clarified that the reason he had come in person was to preserve good relations with Jinwoo. He wanted to warn him before the announcement went public. Otherwise, Jinwoo might have been shocked to suddenly see his father's face displayed on a screen at the event. Jinwoo sat in silence, shaken by the revelation. His father, Sung-il Hwan, missing for 10 years, had somehow returned. But the Bureau now considered him a monster. The thought disturbed Jinwoo deeply. One of the hunters accompanying Adam stepped forward, asking about his condition after being lifted by Jinwoo's power. Adam, still shaken but steadying himself, assured them he was fine. Yet in that moment, he couldn't help but be astonished. Telekinesis was a skill possessed by certain high-rank magic users, but usually it was limited to moving objects around. What Jinwoo had demonstrated was on an entirely different level. It was the kind of ability only national-level hunters were known to possess. For Adam White, the truth was undeniable. Sung Jinwoo was indeed the sixth national-level hunter, and this was a fact he knew he had to report to the vice director immediately. The episode ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.